Yes. He said, move to my left. I know. Keep going. Okay.
What do I mean?
Is she good? Brittany's good? Okay. We're live. Oh, fantastic. I love when they tell me that last minute. Y'all, we are live from CPAC 2025, just outside of Washington, D.C., with the Lawyer Dana podcast. Say that 10 times fast. And I am sitting with someone who is so fascinating, so interesting. Someone who went to law school herself and is someone who is advocating for all of us to make sure that we know what the heck is going on with this AI stuff. And it's called open source AI. Yes. Brittany Kaiser is joining me today. Brittany, I'm going to just let you take it away. Why do we even need something called open source AI?
So I'm a former human rights lawyer, and I've spent a lot of my life advocating to protect our personal rights and freedoms and make sure that in the age of technology, where all of us lead digital lives, that we are safe while using technology, and especially any technologies that the government are using are for the public good. So the Open Source AI Foundation is advocating for all civilian-facing government agencies that provide public services to citizens, that they're using open source AI. And what open source means is that the code base has been published. So it's like whether you're an author writing a book and you haven't yet published your book, no one knows what you've written. And no one knows what's going on inside there. As soon as you publish it, everyone in the world can read it. And so open source technologies actually publish the way that their technology functions. So you can see what data they're using, where it's going, where it's not going, and confirm whether you're safe or not using it.
That is amazing. And that is something that I think most people might kind of think about every now and then, but not realize why it's as important as it is. And, I was joking earlier with one of your people about how, people don't know what to believe anymore. They don't know what to trust with the way AI is going. I mean, right now, because it's still being kind of developed as far as like the graphically, right? The graphics, like we can look at something and be like, is that really Kate Middleton? Oh, wait, no, it's not. She doesn't have 7 fingers on one hand.
Right.
But this is deeper than that. This is about like information that's critical that people are utilizing for, arguments and is persuading them to think one way or another. Right?
Absolutely. I mean, the images that you're seeing right now, over 90% of them have been generated by AI when you go into Google search.
Wow.
That is
wow.
scary.
90%? When did that? Okay, wait. When did that happen? Because it feels like AI was born yesterday.
It's exploded over. I think it was OpenAI released the first Chat GPT 1 in 2022.
Stop it! 3 years.
2.5 years. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. So, how did you get involved in this? Like, other than like understanding that you think it's important, but like, what made this your mission now?
Well, what was interesting is that while I was still in law school, training as a human rights lawyer, I started looking into data science and technology as the best way to understand what the public feel for governments to function better. And I specifically was working in crisis prevention, crimes against humanity, war prevention. And all of that work relied on how much data you had. And if you could detect patterns that, a war was about to happen, so the government can make a better decision and stop it before it happens.
Because I think most people, like my dad, who he's an ex-IBMer, he's a computer nerd, and he's like, I found somebody from China trying to get into. This is like even bigger than this, though. Like this is like global stuff. You're talking about world peace. I mean, you're talking about regimes coming in. They can manipulate data and things, and I think that I don't know how many people knew about these conversations, but why Facebook was being called to task was because in other countries there were people who were formulating this information and trying to take over governments and really causing chaos in the world.
Absolutely. And this has happened all over the world, and even happened in our own elections, where certain countries who are not our allies are trying to influence American voters and tell them what to think, tell them what not to think. And that is extremely scary when we are trying to protect our elections, election integrity, and transparency in this country, to make sure that everyone we voted for actually gets into office.
Right.
It's a really important topic, and people don't realize that everything they're looking at online on social media right now has been created by an AI. So Was it a company that created it? Was it an individual? Was it a foreign government? we don't
We
know
don't
at the
know.
moment
And
because it's not open source.
So when we talk about bots, right? Will that eliminate bots, or will we see that it is a bot who's doing that?
We'll see that it is a bot.
Okay. So we can't get rid of the nasty bots,
Yeah.
but we'll be like, oh, that's not even a real person who left that comment there. That was a because okay, let me ask you this. So I have seen videos of bot farms, right? Like in other countries, like you're saying, like all these phones practically just programmed to cause vitriol and division and create, again, chaos. So we can't eliminate them, but now if this comes through the way you're saying it and it should work, we'll be able to, how will we be able to identify that though? Like what will we see?
Yeah, it'll depend on platform to platform, but a lot of the social media companies, for instance, X, will say, put a tag on something and say, this has been edited or manipulated, or this has been created by AI, to help you become a more conscious consumer of digital content and really think before you form an opinion about what you've just seen. So it allows us to be a little more educated on what's going on, because a couple of years ago when this started to come out, obviously the images weren't good enough for us to question whether it was reality or not.
Right.
But now they are.
This seems like a no-brainer. Like everybody should be on board. Are you finding resistance? And if so, among whom?
So as of right now, everyone we've talked to about this, besides closed source AI companies,
Wonder why.
are on board. And what's funny is that there are a lot of big companies that are both open and closed source. So
Right.
for instance, they could create closed source technology for the Defense Department, which is totally fine with me.
Right.
But they could create something open source for the Department of Health and Human Services, or something that is a public facing good, something that's providing citizens with goods and services, where it's good for all of us to be able to look at the code base for people that understand how to read it and say, actually, this is really safe. And it creates jobs, because when you open source a code base, like when you publish a book, you're sharing the knowledge of how these systems function, and anybody can contribute. You can decide to build a project.
So kind of like a Wikipedia where anybody can contribute. But then how do you trust? How do you trust the information though?
So, unlike Wikipedia, what the U.S. government could do, for instance, is publish their code base and allow you to KYC and tell everybody who you are. It's just an identity check.
KYC means
citizen. It means know your customer.
Okay, so pretend you're talking to kindergartners.
For
okay,
sure. Absolutely.
You can KYC, right? Or
you prove that you're an American citizen and who you are, and then if you want to contribute, you can make recommendations of what you could add to that technology, or you could build something on top of it, build your own application on the government's platform, and then recommend that they use it or other people use it for their own purposes. It would be really helpful if state by state, every state could come up with their own solutions based off of what the federal agencies are using.
Who approves that? Like, if you were somebody who wanted to contribute, who approves it? Like, where does that start and end?
So there's two different levels. If you want to contribute to the main code base, that would be the government agency.
Okay. They would have a person or team responsible for that. Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
But if you want to build something on top of it, like building an app on iOS for your iPhone,
right,
you could build an app on top of that uses what the government technology, how the government technology functions, and adding some extra functionality to it. So it's actually creating jobs and spurring American innovation by open sourcing code.
Got it. So this is such new technology for me. It's for everybody, obviously, but it's such a new way of thinking about information that we get, the data that we receive, and that we put out. And I think that, this is what a fabulous conversation. And I love that someone who has such integrity is one of the people leading the charge on this. What concerns do you have?
Thank you so much for your kind words, and also for asking that question, because I think my biggest concerns right now are that most of the government AI contracts are being given to OpenAI, to Sam Altman's closed source company, where actually I'll tell you guys a quick story. Sam Altman co-founded OpenAI with Elon Musk.
Okay.
And Elon co-founded this non-profit called OpenAI in order to create open source AI as a public good.
Right.
Now, when Elon left, Sam Altman decided to turn it into a closed source for-profit company, which is why, if you've seen in the news that Elon has a spat with Sam Altman, it's because he's saying you took the public good, where
Right.
Elon really believes in the regulation of AI, and in order to keep the public safe while we innovate with AI, everything needs to be open source,
Right.
so that we can make sure that what it's doing is for our own good and not against it. And then Sam turns it into a closed source company, creates a monopoly on government contracts.
Wow.
And we
Wow.
have no idea
Wow.
what of our data he's getting access to, all of it. What government data he's getting access to, all of it, because he has contracts with so many different government agencies. And is he using that for his own enrichment purposes?
This is a real life soap opera, and
It's
it feels
crazy.
like like anybody who watched, what was it, All My Children or
Yeah.
General Hospital. This is Victor Kiriakis,
I know.
right? Who's like took over and has a monopoly, and I think if we can like lay it to people like that, the people who think like, well, I don't know anything about technology, I barely know how to use my iPhone. Like, this is why this stuff is important, y'all. This is why, I mean, so okay, let me ask you this. What can the average person do who does feel like they don't have any power, who does feel like they're helpless, but they care?
So for me, the reason why we co-founded the OpenAI Foundation, the Open Source AI Foundation, is specifically to give everyone to take action. So you can go to theopensourceai.foundation and you can sign up onto our mailing list. We're going to tell you about all of the legislation, all the new laws that are being introduced, all the laws that we are trying to amend, all of the bills that we are trying to get killed because they're not good for the public good, what the different AI committees in different state congresses and in federal Congress are talking about that affect you and your family and your community, so you can understand the issues better, decide to tell your legislator when you care about something, decide to take action on something, sign petitions, and make this a part of your daily life and make it easier to talk to your kids about. Your kids probably know these technologies better than you do. I know
Yeah,
mine
mine do.
certainly is already better at using
Oh yeah.
using
So-
things than I am.
One of the things that I want to stress is this isn't a political thing. This isn't a party thing. This isn't a left or right thing.
No.
This is nonpartisan. This is all of our business, because it is all of our business that is out there for other people to, take and manipulate and abuse if we're not really, taking cautionary steps like this. So like, thank goodness you guys exist, because it's something that's, I think, a afterthought for a lot of people who don't really understand the critical implications of what could happen when people control everything.
And that's what I think is in vogue, or kind of the zeitgeist happening right now, is all about us examining what government agencies have given contracts to whom,
Right.
how much they're for,
Right.
should they be continued or should they be canceled and reevaluated. And because that is in vogue right now, it is time to really focus on this discussion, because we're really at the beginning of this huge J curve. Like right now, we're only spending a couple $1 billion on AI. That's
Right.
going to quickly become hundreds of billions
Wow.
of dollars very, very quickly. And right now, with most of those contracts being given to a closed source company that gets access to all of our national data sets and all of our government data sets, is that something you're comfortable with? I know I'm not. And so I'd rather us have this conversation now before it's too late.
There you go. There you go. Well, you're in, I feel like, the perfect place. It is the perfect time. Although, if there is a time machine, we should go back about 10 years and be like, hey, y'all, this is coming down the pike. Let's prep for it.
I've been saying this for 10 years. I really have. I've been going crazy about it. And we have not been able to get federal government legislation on technology and data ownership at all. But this administration seems very, very forward on making sure that we have technology legislation for the first time. We're seeing executive orders come out of the White House about it, that they're focused on technology. One, to promote American entrepreneurship and to grow our economy.
Yeah.
But two, to make sure that all of these technologies that are being built are congruent with human rights and protecting the freedoms of American citizens.
This is so great. This is great. And again, I applaud you. How big is the team you have right now that's working on this? I mean,
right now we have a 10-person board,
okay,
and we have about 10 different companies and nonprofits in the space that are all driving this forward.
Okay.
A lot of them are some of the most famous open source developers in the world who've been working on these issues for 40 years.
But you're gaining traction, right? Every day you're gaining traction.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
It's getting really exciting. We've even had some of the biggest technology companies in this country talk about joining us as well.
Game on. All right, give your website again because I want to make sure that people who are watching this know where to go.
Absolutely. So you can go to theopensourceai.foundation, and our X handle is @theopensourceai.
Brittany, Kaiser, y'all. What an honor, what a treat. And I love that people like you exist in the world because I would be off, like, oh, something shiny. But knowing how important this is and knowing that there are good people who are looking to help everyone, right, is critical. So thank you for what you're doing. However, we can continue to support you. Let us know at the Lawyer Dana podcast, and just continued blessings on all of this.
Thank you so much for having me. We'd love to have all of you a part of this. Just sign up on our website. We'll give you guys updates and all of the different actions you can take, how you can learn more, how you can get involved. Thank you all for listening.
All right, we will be right back with more fabulous guests on the Lawyer Dana podcast. Do not forget to hit that cute little bell, like and subscribe, and we're here for you.